Morning, Raptor Freak Alexiot's here. Monday morning, so it's time for a Monday memory from this past season with the Raptors season 2021-2022 season. And I'm looking at November the 3rd, 2021. The Raptors were in Washington playing the Wizards. It was this next game after the New York game that I just covered last week, where they had won 4 in a row and they were going for 5 in a row on the Wizards' home court. The Wizards were looking really strong at this point. They had reshuffled their roster from last year into the year we just played, and they had some new weapons and new things. Now, what I was saying in the preview at that time was, I don't believe in this Wizards team. And the reason why is because a lot of the personalities were on Washington this year were weird. And at that time, I was like, this team's not going to make it through the season. And I ended up being right that they did some major moves at the trade deadline, and they moved Spencer Dinwiddie and Montrezl Harrell and ended up getting Kristaps Porzingis eventually and stuff like that. So this game was really fun because once again, we were missing very important key players. We're missing Scottie Barnes because of his thumb, and we were missing Pascal because he had not returned yet. Yuta Watanabe was also out for this game. And Steve Mahalik started once again in Scottie Barnes's place. And he was really solid in these 2 wins that I've covered the last 2 weeks. New York last week, 15 points. Washington, 15 points also for Svi. At that point in the season, he looked like he was going to be very usable and like be able to produce and to contribute to us, like with hitting his open threes and playing really good dogged defense, getting steals, getting into passing lanes and stealing the ball. But the real hero of this game was Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet, you could tell, he was fully healthy still. When Fred's fully healthy, he is a whole different kind of offensive player. In fact, going back and watching the highlights from this game, I realized just how good he was feeling because he was pulling off like fadeaways, turnaround fadeaways, and like little leaners and stuff like that. And they were all going in. So, Fred's feeling good when he's hitting like a fadeaway or something like that. But he was the man in this game. He scored 33 points, led the team to a victory over Washington. Washington was not easy in this game. They were battling with us most of the game. We ended up only winning by 9 points. And through this game, this was one of the first games of the season where there was some inconsistency with the foul calls with the referees, that they were really calling it tough on us physically. And on the other side, they were letting the Wizards do all kinds of stuff to us. And, that was one of the things that was really annoying at this time. But it was a real test of the Raptors' mettle to be able to overcome the bad whistles and then also a pretty good Wizards team and without having some of their best players available for the game. It really was Fred and OG Anunoby, huge in this game, like with dunks and different things. This is the game where Precious had his ferocious Achua dunk. This is the one where he elevated and got his head up over the rim and really came down on them. And I remember in my reaction to this game during the season, I talked about how Precious going for that dunk was kind of like when you're at work and nothing's going right and you just kind of finally get something good to go and you're just like, yeah, yeah. And it was really kind of like that when he elevated and threw down that nasty, nasty, nasty dunk on the Washington Wizards. Like we went over it last week with Paul B's clip that Washington Wizards dunk by Precious was badass. But yeah, this was a great game in the early season. It was our 5-game win streak. We had a few good win streaks this past season, and this was the very first one, a 5-game win streak in the first 10 games of the season, which is actually really good considering we were supposed to be a rebuild, a non-playoff team. A team that's in development that isn't that good. And we were just figuring each other out and learning the new players, new rookies, people like that. And we were already winning a 5-game win streak within the first 10 games of the season. So I was really proud of that and stuff like that. And of course, we had bigger win streaks later on in the season. Tom Duke is here. Good morning. And again, great job on that video, Paul B. Let's go. Yes, Paul B, thanks once again. So we had a good collection of some of the best dunks from this past season. All right, I gotta mention stuff about last night. Obviously, the Celtics beat the Heat, and this sucks. I'm like not happy about this at all. Really weird game in a lot of different ways. A lot of different weird stuff going on in the game last night. Like, Spolstra really talking a lot about Max Struess's three-pointer that was taken off the board because he stepped out of bounds, and they looked at it, stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of analysis of how the referees are going back and reviewing stuff all the time and shaving and putting on points. And they did this a couple times this season to us where we would have a three-pointer, they count it as a two, they count it as a three initially, and then they say no, it was a two-pointer, and then they turn around and look at it again and say no, actually it was a three-pointer. Get your shit together, NBA refs. And Scott Foster reffing the game last night, big red flag, big red flag. Now, I didn't watch the game. I saw the stats and I kind of paid attention to it throughout the night. And I heard both fan nations whining and crying about the refs at both sides. Heat Nation, Celtic Nation. They really were having problems with different things. And I'm really glad that Kyle showed up somewhat. You could tell this man is very hurt, Kyle Lowry, and that he really was gutsy in coming in and trying to put a good effort in. He got some points. He contributed to a pretty good degree. But still, Jimmy Butler doing most of the work. Bam Adebayo kind of showing up last night too, but it just wasn't enough. The Celtics got there. And, it was really close. If that three-pointer had counted by Strus, then, that's a 1-point margin to what their score ended up being. I don't know. I hate the Celtics. I just do not like that they're in the finals. I was really hoping Miami could just beat them last night. But now we got to see them in the finals and hear all their bullshit from their fan nation and all the other stuff. They're tooting their horns and all this stuff. I kind of really hate that Jason Tatum is like won this Larry Bird trophy, and then it's all nice and fits nice for Celtic bullshit narratives and stuff like that. So really, please, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, all you guys, Kevon Looney, please kick the shit out of Boston, please, in the finals. Because I cannot stand listening to Boston Nation if they win a championship, but they do it. They need to fail because they're going to be insufferable if you don't beat them, Warriors. Just do it for the good of the whole NBA. Is just put them out, beat them in the finals, because if Boston wins, Boston Nation's going to be so insufferable in the all over the place. It's going to be nasty, annoying. Yeah, Tom's saying Golden State is our team, I guess. Boston was really the better team with guys like Wright and Horford. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Al Horford. He is one of the few Celtics that I actually kind of like have respect for and kind of like. That he's finally getting to an NBA Finals for the first time in his career. That's a big deal. Yeah, Golden State is our team. They should be, because there's a Steph connection. In some ways, Golden State beating Boston in the finals makes us look better with our championship beating them. So there are different reasons for us to root for the Warriors right now, other than it's an Atlantic Division rival that we hate. And Steph Curry having connections with his father to the Raptors organization, just the whole argument I was saying about Steph Curry being possibly better than LeBron James because he'll have as many championships, and more of an argument for his case of being one of the greatest of all time in comparison to him and stuff like that. Let's see. Raymond's saying you don't have to root for any team if you don't like any of them. Well, on the down low, I really do respect Golden State and do like them. Like, they're a franchise that I don't have a lot of hate towards. The problem I had with Golden State is more that they were team stacking like Durant those years, and I thought that was too easy. And then like I really don't like their fan nation coming in here like that guy did on Saturday and trying to down talk our championship. A lot of Warriors Nation really respects the Raptors and what we did in 2019. So I don't really have a whole lot of hate towards them. But it really is like really important that they win this, because I hate the Celtics so much. Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right. Tom Duke saying, excellent, Raymond. I won't root for either one of them then. Well, I can root against the Celtics. It's just like in an election. If there's somebody you really hate, You don't want to win. You want the other people to win. Like what's going on in Toronto right now, in Ontario, Doug Ford. We hate Doug Ford. We want him to lose. He's just like the Boston Celtics to me. Anybody else than Doug Ford, please. So anybody else other than Boston Celtics is how I'm saying it. Because seriously, y'all, you know that they're going to be insufferable. If they win a championship, we're going to see all this rah, rah, rah. We're going to hear the NBA toot their horn in all kinds of crazy ass ways. And it's just they're going to make them sound like they're one of the greatest teams of all time in all kinds of bullshit ways. So in some ways, channels like mine and other places, we need to poo-poo it because that's what they did to the Raptors championship. I'm going to poo-poo the Celtics every single chance I can because honestly, they do get a lot of help from the NBA. And, they scripted a 7-game series with Miami. And in some ways, they wanted Boston to win this because, it is kind of interesting that since LeBron left the East, there's been a different Eastern team in the finals each year. That's been better for the Eastern Conference in a lot of ways. And now Boston's getting their chance and their turn. Milwaukee, us, Miami had their chance against the Lakers in the bubble. So it'll be interesting. I really, really do hope that the Warriors experience at this level and just the way that they play just takes care of them. All right, I can't go on enough about how much I hate the Celtics. And seeing last night and the joy and all the stupid stuff that's going on with them right now, it kind of annoys me. It really, really annoys me and stuff like that. So getting back to the game on November the 3rd in Washington, this was a game that the NBA was really trying to help Washington win in some ways. Like they wanted Washington to win this game and they just couldn't. They didn't. And like this was the thing. Like the Raptors in the early season were kind of killing NBA darling teams. Like, let's not get it twisted. Besides Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Washington, these are all teams that the NBA head office wants to do very well. And they will push the hell out of them. And like Washington in particular on the down low, when they play Toronto, it becomes this USA versus Canada bullshit. Like, there's a lot of red, white, and blue and a lot of pageantry, Americana and stuff like that. And they try to make it a nation versus kind of thing. So in some ways, on the download, the NBA head office will try and help Washington beat us just because it's USA Canada. They want USA to win, obviously. So they did do some of that with the calls in the game that I'm talking about today, November 3rd. But the Raptors overcame it all. They showed a steady leadership with Fred VanVleet, and they weathered the storm. I will put it that way, as far as like the referees and stuff, and just playing heady and smart and together. That game, Kem Birch came off the bench and Precious started, but there was also that was kind of around when Kem was going to come back into the starting lineup and start every other game, or like Precious would start some games, Kem would start some games, and was kind of mixing and matching. And Chris Boucher was still not figured out his role yet. He was still in this weird head zone where he's like kind of wanting to be Tampa Chris, but he didn't realize he was going to evolve into a new role, a role that really fit him really well. And he hadn't got there yet either by then. So it's really interesting. Let's see. Raymond Jacobs saying, is Kyle still getting a statue? Of course. Of course, Kyle will get a statue here in Toronto. It's just maybe Heat fans don't like him at this point. Like, this is really interesting that, he hasn't seen success with them as much, and he's been hurt. So he's a real easy target for the Heat Nation to come down on him. In fact, the slander of Kyle Lowry by Heat fans right now just shows that they aren't really good fans to their people. And that, he is always going to be one of our people. If he had gone there and they'd won the championship this year in Miami, I think he'd still be a Raptors person in our nation, not like Chris Bosh, who came down there and won with them, and then he's theirs now. Bosh is Miami's now. He's not ours. I don't want him, honestly. But Lowry's different. He's always going to be us, and especially now, because listen, this was their best shot to make it, and Kyle's disappointed. Anything but a championship was a failure this year for the Heat. And the clock is ticking. The man is just getting older, and this core for the Miami Heat is older than most cores in the league. So they're going to have to do it. Either they should have done it this year, but next year may be their last real window to do this. And a lot of Heat fans are already saying, get rid of Lowry. He's garbage. We're sick of him. We don't want him. They want John Wall. They want Russell Westbrook. They're talking about all these other replacements for him today and stuff like that. So it's crazy. I think he'll get a statue here in Toronto. Yeah. Rahul saying, I don't think Kyle gets a statue, but he will get his jersey retired. No, guys, come on, seriously. He's the figurehead for our championship. I don't want a Kawhi statue. We need a statue to commemorate our first NBA championship. So it should be Kyle. And we'll make it a nice one and all this kind of stuff. I know that there's a lot of Kyle Lowry hate around the league right now. That people hate him because he's flopping. They think he's a flop artist. They're coming down on him. There's like a flopathon between him and Marcus Smart last night. Who's the best flopper? All this kind of crap. But listen, he's good with us. Like everything he's done now since he left last year, that's their nation. That's their stuff. He's still in good standing with us. We'll always love him. It doesn't matter what happens to him in Miami while he's there. His career with the Raptors is solidified and always will be there. So that's not going to change. And honestly, he needs a statue here. I don't care what's going on with Miami Nation or if they're upset with him or he doesn't look that good. He's hurt. We got to remember this. It's a similar thing to what happened with Fred with us in the Philadelphia series is that Kyle's not 100%. And, we don't know how hurt he is. Like the amount he played and how well he did last night may be really impressive knowing just how much he's putting up with right now. So, let's see. Tom Duke saying Jimmy Bucket still holds Kalo in high regards. I'm sure they have talked about retiring together. They will be good next year. Yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's already said he's not retiring. Expect me to be back. And Heat Nation, y'all should be nice to him, seriously, because listen, he's the kind of guy that will keep fighting for you. Like last night, he fought really hard for y'all. He was trying to do as much as he can with all possible to make sure you guys won. And it just wasn't enough. You guys didn't have enough in different ways. The other person that really would have helped y'all if he had been healthy was Tyler Hero. And his injury in this series absolutely hurt you guys in different ways. So it's tough. It's tough. Nick Nurse, Emma Doku, who's the better coach? Wow, that's a good question, Raymond. Now, that's an interesting thing to ask right now because think about this. Imadoko's in his rookie year as a head coach. And I hate to think that he might win a championship in his rookie year because that's exactly what Nick Nurse did. Now, that's another reason why we really need to root for the Warriors is we don't need this Boston coach to come in his first year and win an NBA championship like this because it'll set a weird tone. And listen, the NBA is the kind of organization that will prop them up and help them try to continue to get him that kind of stuff instead of tear it down like they did with Kawhi and us, is that they will prop them up and try and help them get a dynasty going if this man wins a championship in his first year as a head coach. So that's another reason why this is really, really super important, that the Warriors don't take this lightly. Don't be like how you were, Steve Kerr, when you came into the series against the Raptors in 2019. You were really cocky and you did not do a scouting report on us properly. And we came out and beat your ass in game one of the finals in 2019. You cannot do this against Boston. You need to take this very seriously and you need to kick their ass. I'm sorry. No, nothing else. You just need to beat the Celtics. Come on, Warriors, do it. Raymond saying also, Kyle's always injured during playoffs. Respect for always putting his all. Listen, there may be some players that wouldn't even play with some of the stuff that he has when he's hurt and stuff like that. We don't understand his pain threshold. We don't understand how much he goes through to continue to be out there and try his best. So there's a lot of people slandering him today. I'm not going to do that. Like, listen, he's a great player. He gave it his all. Heat Nation, you can turn on him if you want, but that just proves more and more that he is a Raptor and that we'll always love him and take care of him up here in Toronto. You guys can be upset with him or whatever, but this is what you get is Lowry's older. He's not going to be able to go on all cylinders every single game. And you may have some games where he misses and doesn't make any points. And then you may have some games like Friday night's game where he's huge and he helps you win. You got to take the good and the bad with him. But understand that he's a true winner and that he's doing everything physically possible in his body to try and get you to the right win and winning stuff like that. Rahul saying, trade Freddie. As a Raps fan, I don't feel comfortable giving Freddie a max contract. He won't give the Raps any hometown discount. I'd rather save that money to extend Siakam and Barnes. Well, this summer is when the extension can be looked at. I don't think that they're going to do the extensions for Pascal and Fred this summer, that they'll wait and they'll probably do everything they want to do with their contracts next year. But listen, I'm not ever going to tell listen, you got to stop doing this, Rahul. I know that you said this about Freddie before. He is super important. Listen, he's one of the main people that was involved in our championship in 2019, and we need to keep these guys around. You cannot take this lightly. They've already stripped us so many of our champions. Serge Ibaka, Kawhi Leonard, Norman Powell, Kyle Lowry, they're all gone. And we really need to overvalue the few that we still have left. And that's Pascal and Fred, really, with OG being on the bench and Chris being on the bench also. So we really only had two guys from that main core. And I said this the other day, part of the reason why Golden State's back in the finals right now is they didn't panic and make moves like the one that you're describing. What if they said, oh, we need to trade Steph Curry, just out flippantly? Because really, Fred VanVleet is Steph Curry for us. And that, we may go through a little bit of time in between 2019. Hopefully we get back into the championship picture sooner. And that Golden State weathered these kind of worries and kept Draymond, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry together, because that is their championship nucleus. Now, we need to understand that Fred VanVleet is an essential person from our championship nucleus, and that you don't panic and you get pressured to send a guy out and stuff like that. Don't worry about how much Fred's making. I don't give a shit about how much Fred makes. Fred deserves it. And if he will do a discount for us. You're saying that, but that's not true. He already worked with us on his contract that he's on right now to allow for flexibility for us to possibly sign Giannis Antetokounmpo. That his deal that he's on right now, the reason why he's getting paid so much on the ends of it is because he actually got paid less at the beginning to allow more money to be available if we were able to get Giannis before he signed the Supermax. So listen, I'm never, ever going to endorse any kind of deal for Fred moving anywhere. Fred needs to stay here. He's an essential player. And when he's healthy next year and he's not hurt, Nick Nurse is already saying that he's going to play him a lot less minutes per game next season. So we shouldn't worry about him being run down by the end of the year. Hopefully he'll get less relied on so heavy to absolutely have to be in the game so much. Is a great development with Scottie and Pascal handling the ball more. Fred can sit on the bench more and actually rest and be healthy the whole season. And then when the playoffs come around, he won't be absolutely ran into the ground. That is really the goal for this upcoming season, is to protect Fred as far as his health and allow him. Because the game I'm reviewing right now, the game that Freddie did against Washington on November the 3rd was an amazing game. He scored 33 points. He was a badass. You have to go back and watch these highlights, Rahul, and realize Fred at his full powers, how good he is. So, yeah, and listen, the money that goes to Barnes and Siakam will not be messed up by Fred. You got to realize this. This is like, we're not in a scarcity kind of situation here, that we've got guys slotted in our team that are all on schedule to get their money when it's supposed to happen, and that the money's there. Paying Fred's not taking money away from paying Scottie. Paying Fred is not taking money away from Pascal. Fred is just getting what he gets. And that's that. That's it. And listen, he's the kind of guy you need to really keep, because he's very much a guy who will sacrifice for the good of the whole. Like, if next year he's going to be not getting the ball or shooting as much or carrying the ball as much, he won't be upset about that. He will do what it takes to help this team win. And some guys don't have the ego that can handle that. They have an ego that gets really pissed off and upset. He's not that kind of guy. So he's always going to be good on our team, always. Nick Nurse is a good role model for Udoka. Brad Stevens is not as good as Masai equals big difference. Yeah. Brad Stevens, and that move going into the front office and abandoning the head coach job, I thought that was really weird at the time. And, Brad Stevens just wanted control of the Celtics. That's fine. Danny Ainge needed to leave. Oh, that's good. Now, as far as like the Nick Nurse question, I know I didn't really answer that, Raymond Jacob. So I'll go ahead and answer it now. I'm not going to pick Udoka on this. I don't think he's a better coach than Nick Nurse. I think that Nick Nurse outcoached him the first time he ever played him at his home court in the second game of the season. And, he's had some good success and different things and stuff like that. But once again, everything the Celtics does is propped up. every kind of notoriety. Jason Tatum is completely made up as a superstar in a lot of ways. Honestly, if they had given the Larry Bird MVP last night to Jaylen Brown, I might have respected that more. Because, like, honestly, when is Jaylen Brown going to get recognition in all the different things he does in the shadow of Jason Tatum? Because honestly, in a lot of ways, he's a better player. He's a much more consistent, efficient player than Jason Tatum, and it bugs me that Tatum is the golden boy and that he gets all the awards and the shining light over there. If I was Jaylen Brown, it would bug me that, like, listen, you don't get nothing, man. You are basically his shadow. You stand there next to him and he gets all the gold. And, yeah, I'm trying to sow some dissension with the Celtics because honestly, it's bullshit in a way. It would have been refreshing to see Jaylen Brown get the MVP, the Larry Bird MVP last night. Because like Joe Dumars won Finals MVP one time for the Detroit Pistons, and they're thinking that was cool. It wasn't just Isaiah Thomas, and then Joe Dumars won the Finals MVP in their second one. So give some recognition to Jaylen Brown. That might have been a nice little place where you guys could have given him a little nod and giving him that instead of Jason, because Jason gets all NBA first team. He gets all this other bullshit that he doesn't honestly totally deserve. And I really believe that. I think Jaylen Brown needs more recognition. Okay, is what I'm saying here. So let's see. Yeah, I think Masai is a bigger over Brad Stevens, and I'll still pick Nick over Emidoku. I'm sorry, I still will. Tom Duke says perhaps Fran Vliet is the next Masai after he retires. I bet he's involved in b-ball after he retires as a player. Probably. I could see that too. I don't know if he'll be a coach. He said he doesn't necessarily want to be a coach. Some of it is that it's just really hard to deal with the personalities of the people, and that, like, maybe Fred is not the kind of person that wants to mess around with everybody's ego and everybody's bullshit as young players. Because it seems like he wants to be a coach. Because when he's not playing, he's out there coaching with the coaches. But in the reality, I think he's also said does not want to be a coach later on down the road. That he doesn't want to deal with all the BS with the egos and stuff like that. But maybe he'll be involved in front office stuff. Yeah, I like that idea. Lolita is here. Let's see. Sorry, Kalo. Close but not bad. See you next year. Run to the finals. Barnes and the Raptors will be something else next year. Go Raptors. Yes, Lolita. Yes. Sorry to see Kyle Lowry get put out. It does suck. It's like, honestly, I in some ways I am kind of glad though too, because I did not want Miami to win. Their fans do not deserve another championship. Just the way that they went up and down with Kyle during this past series just shows how fair weather they are and up and down and stuff like that. So Tom Duke says you're telling the truth. So just keep telling the truth. G's here. Good to see G. G, we're gonna do trivia tomorrow. I know we're gonna have like maybe they gave us the final schedule. They're stretching it out. There's a lot of 2 days in between these finals games. So it's looking like we'll have trivia tomorrow. And depending on how this series goes, we'll have at least one more, maybe 2 more. So 3 more weeks of trivia at the most. And then this season's over. Let's see. G saying Al Horford would have sat on the bench on OKC because of his age, but look at how important he was. Goes to show how situational circumstances are for players. Yeah, that is true. Like, he's had such a weird journey. Like, he had to be a boomerang for the Boston Celtics. He was there before. They didn't value him as much as they should have. And then he went to Philadelphia for a season or two, and they didn't value him there either. So then he went back to Boston, and now he's really paying off dividends for the Celtics right now. He is probably the one Celtic that I'm the most happy for, because he's had such a long career. He's been such a good pro. And I do respect and like Al Horford. I do respect and like Jaylen Brown. There's other people I do not respect on the Boston Celtics, but those two in particular I like. And I want good things to happen for them individually, but not necessarily a championship overall. G saying both teams in the finals, I believe their tallest starting player is 6'9". Masai is onto something. Yeah, it's the trend of the future. The big guy slows you down. The big guy can mess you up and be a detriment on the one end of the court, where he can just be taken away by speed, because the speed of the game is speeding up with the bigger players and stuff like that. There's no more slow plotting pivots. There's no more just trucking up the court. Everybody's got to get right down the court as quick as they can. And that is very telling that there's nobody on either one of these teams that's over 6'9". So Raptors roster construction is in line with two championship finals teams right now. So Raymond Jacobs saying Raptors trivia needs to be 1 hour long. Maybe one of the last ones I'll do Oreo double stuff trivia. I haven't written the one for tomorrow yet. I'm going to do it this afternoon. I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do, manufacture my subjects and where my source material is. I'll figure it out. Don't worry. It'll be a good one as usual, 9:30 tomorrow. But tomorrow will not be an hour long for sure, Raymond Jacob. I have something I have to do pretty quickly in the 10 o'clock hour. So I'm going to just make it a half hour, 9:30 to 10 o'clock. So 9:30, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, play Raptor trivia. And maybe it will be more advanced level Raptor trivia like it was last week. That was a good one last week. Not an hour. No, not 1 hour. It won't be an hour. I know you guys are the two. You guys are the heavyweights battling out at the top. But, G got a huge jump once again last week in the advanced trivia. But we'll make it good. It'll be fun. On that note, I'll say, hey, guys, well, thanks for meeting with me this morning on the live stream. I appreciate all of you guys, the regulars, Lolita, Tom, G, Raymond, Jacob, everybody who comes and checks me every day. Just talking about the Raptors' victory over the Washington Wizards on November the 3rd, where Fred VanVleet got 33 points, leading the team to a good victory, their fifth win in a row. Their first win streak of the season was fantastic because it was early on we were unsure. And the other interesting thing about this game was it was our fourth road victory to start the season. And we had never done that before as a franchise, won our first 4 games on the road. And that was a really big deal also at that time with Washington. So, all right, let's see. Tom Duke saying 10,000 points each answer tomorrow. No, I'm going to keep them at 100, though. We're not going back down. They'll be 100-point answers, just like, the last week. So, all right, guys, thanks for meeting with me this morning. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hit that red subscribe button, please. And have a great Monday. Happy Memorial Day to the States people down there and stuff like that. And if you are in Ontario, please get to the polls. You need to go vote. If you live in Ontario, or if there are other places in Canada that are having voting this week, also go vote. Don't get apathetic. Don't feel like it doesn't do anything, because even if it is truly nothing that will be done, at least you did your due diligence. At least you did go vote, because we need to do this more than ever, because it may be the little bit of say that we have with all this crazy bullshit that's going on in the world today is voting. And you got to go do it. You got to go do it. Just do it, please. Please just go do it. Cheers to you, Tom Duke. Have a wickedly good day, fellow freaks. And Raymond Jacobs saying, with lifelines, like who wants to be a millionaire? You want to do lifelines, you go ahead. If you have family members in other rooms, you can yell to them or something like that. Maybe I'll do something crazy. Like I won't even do Raptors trivia. Maybe I'll do a trivia on music or something all of a sudden. Just blow y'all's mind. Like say, nah, y'all, today we're doing WWF stars of 1985. Boom. See, let's see who does well with that. Like WWF stars from classic WWF stars. I don't know. Would you be interested in wrestling trivia? All right, y'all. Have a great Monday, and I'll be back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, like always. Let's go, Raptors!